Hello, my name is Marcin Kuryło and I represent BCC company. Welcome to the webinar SAP S for HANA and SAP BW for HANA. Today's webinar is leading by Krzysztof Siwiec, our Business Development Manager. But before we go to the right presentation, I will encourage you to ask questions. If you have any, feel free, and use please the chat window to questions, and we will try to answer for everything. Okay, at the beginning, I will introduce our company in very shortly, and we have three competence centers. The first one is BCC SAP Experts, and we provide implementation and integration services, SAP projects all over the world. The second competence centers is BCC Data Centers, and we provide services with data centers such as managed hosting, cloud computing, system support and administration, IT development and optimization, and so on. And the third one, competence center, is BCC Software Factory, and we provide applications for any company, processes, and any collaboration scenarios between partners. And it is all at the beginning, introducing, and now I invite you to the core of today's presentation. And
so hello, my name is Krzysztof Siwiec and I will lead today's presentation. I'll tell you a bit about HANA platform, S for HANA. I'll start from describing the new solutions based on HANA platform. Then I'll present some pros for the new solutions. I'll tell you about their advantages. Then I will focus on migration paths, on how to migrate to the newest SAP system. I'll also mention some cons, some disadvantages that can be connected to migration, so that you are aware what such a project looks like. And of course I will sum everything up. Okay, a few years ago SAP introduced its brand new in-memory platform called SAP HANA. It was something really new, something fresh, something that allowed to build entirely new products on this platform. Two additional products arrived. SAP BW powered by SAP HANA, so SAP data warehouse powered by SAP HANA platform, and ERP powered by SAP HANA called Suite on SAP HANA as well. The first solution, SAP BW powered by SAP HANA, appeared first, and it's really a radical change. The business warehouse, standard business warehouse from SAP was very, I would say, flexible, but when huge data volumes appeared, it sometimes was very slow. But with introduction of SAP BW powered by SAP HANA, the performance increased radically by the factor usually about 100. So the reports that we would wait for an hour now will be executed in less than a minute. And sometimes even the performance gain is even more, even bigger. As for SAP ERP by SAP HANA, powered by SAP HANA, it's also a huge change, but you don't see that much of performance gain for the transactional processing. Of course, the reporting is much quicker, but in transactional processing, it's all usually several times better than before. And you have some new possibilities, for example, to report on database level, because when SAP ERP system is migrated to SAP HANA platform, then the cluster tables disappear, and so these encoded tables that were difficult to access on the database level, and you can report on database level as well when you migrate to SAP ERP powered by SAP HANA. Okay, but these two products are on milestones to achieve really new SAP systems to reach, I would say, a new level that SAP has introduced. These are SAP S/4HANA, the new ERP system with totally remodeled data structures. The tables inside are different. There are new sub-modules integrated within this system. For example, business planning and consolidation, new reporting system, new user interface, and a lot of transaction and processes are a bit adjusted. And the other product is SAP BW for HANA, a brand new data warehouse that is simplified in comparison to a standard BW data warehouse. With less data object, it's much more performant, designed especially for SAP HANA platform, and with new reporting user interface, it will use the new Design Studio Lumira 2.0 and analysis for Office Excel, and also Business Object Cloud as the user interface. So it's also a brand new system, even newer than S/4HANA ERP system. Okay, so in fact we have development milestones in SAP products. SAP started with R3 mainframes, then moved to R3 client-based systems that were very popular. Now most of our clients has ECC or SAP BW data warehouse or ERP system on NetWeaver platform. It's the most commonly used nowadays still. But two new possibilities are open. So first is these two systems migrated to SAP HANA platform, so ERP or BW powered by SAP HANA, and at the end the entirely new systems S/4HANA and BW for HANA. What are the pros of the new solutions? Why we are talking about them? Because sometimes the users are quite happy with their ERP system on SAP NetWeaver or BW system on SAP NetWeaver. The first advantage that you can realize when you look at S/4HANA is the simplification. A lot of tables were really deleted inside ERP system because they were really irrelevant, because they were kept there for the compatibility, because the system grew for 30 years and additional tables were added, and the complexity of connections between data in these tables grew also. So in fact, when a simple transaction, for example posting a material movement was posted, then the same data was transferred to several logistic tables and several financial tables, and it was duplicated several times, and it's not needed with the new SAP HANA platform. So SAP simplified it. SAP did it in a very good way, because in fact it simplified it, creating much less tables. For example, there is one huge transactional table in financials called AC.A that has data from controlling financials, from material ledger and so on. And it replaces several tables that were used till now. But for ABAP programs, for compatibility reasons, the old tables are created as views. So when a program reads from the old tables, it can read the data even after migration to S/4HANA, because the old tables, for compatibility reasons, created as views, and for the programs doesn't see any difference. Of course, the SAP code is adjusted to the new table structure and uses this new simplified table structures. But if the user has some user-defined, custom programs, it's very important to have this backward compatibility. So the system is simplified, and what does it give? It does give a performance boost, not only from the movement to HANA platform, but also from the simplification of tables. So instead of writing down the data when saving a transaction into, for example, 15 tables, it will write down to 2 tables. It's much easier and simpler for the programs. And of course, it gives also new possibilities for using this data. For example, reporting can be much easier when you report on one huge table instead of reporting on several tables that were scattered and had different connections, and you should link them before using them. Additionally, in the new SAP S/4HANA system, some architecture components that were previously installed as separate systems can now be integrated, or even sometimes are integrated by default inside S/4HANA. So, for example, enhanced warehouse management, travel management, or advanced planning and optimizing can be done on the same system where ERP sits as add-ons, so they can be now integral part of the system. Of course, in S/4HANA, you have also new functionalities inaccessible in previous versions. For example, in Financials you have cash management module, an entirely new cash management module, integrated planning and consolidation, new line item reporting, and many others developments, especially for S/4HANA. And there is also the entirely new user interface called SAP Fiori user interface. Of course, it was accessible for older version of SAP systems, but in SAP HANA there are a lot of transactions written using this interface. The new transactions are written for Fiori and in this user interface. In fact, in S/4HANA version 16.10, in the newest version, you have over 7,000 transactional and analytical applications, SAP Fiori applications. So in most cases, you can forget the SAP GUI and switch to the new internet browser-based interface instead of SAP GUI application. And what's also important, the SAP Fiori tiles can be used to build quickly a user application. There is a whole framework to create, for example, dashboard, analytical dashboard for the end user quickly, just using these predefined tiles and views on data. So you can create your own KPIs and add them to user dashboard. There is also a new reporting interface based on the Query Designer tool. So one new reporting interface for reporting within the whole SAP ERP system. Last but not least, there is something called best practices for customizing the system. So there is a lot of customizing templates, configuration templates that can be used when you are implementing some new functionality. You can download them from the SAP web page and just integrate it in your system, adjust to your needs, and that's how the implementation can be a bit quicker. There is also a new SAP methodology for implementing S/4HANA. It's called SAP Activate. What's important here is it gives you the possibility to experience trial. You can have a free trial for 15 days of to play with SAP interface. You can buy, of course, for a longer system, trial system. And then you can use this predefined business scenarios. You can adjust them and test the solution, and of course at the end start the use of the system. Solution manager, of course, is an important part of it, and what also is expected, and also what works already in the cloud, is there are some special tools that help you with implementation. I would say such guides that guide you through the implementation and help you implement the SAP system quicker. As I said, you have these best practices. You can download them from this SAP-Service.com solution packages web page. You can just look for the available best practices, select what scope of implementation in your system will be, download the files, and then with transaction SNP BW implement this transaction on your system. Okay, I said a bit about S/4HANA, so ERP system, an entirely new ERP system advantages, but there is also this BW for HANA, so new data warehouse from SAP. The first advantage of the system is, of course, the performance. The reporting on HANA platform is quick, and with BW for HANA it's very quick. But what's also important is that the system is simplified. For example, the data providers, so the stores for data were simplified. Instead of 9 in the current version, there are 3 in BW for HANA, but the capabilities were extended. Everything that's done in BW for HANA is generated as HANA database views, so you can access everything, every data on database level, and with, for example, external tools like SQL querying or other applications. BW for HANA extends the memory management capabilities of BW powered by SAP HANA. So you can divide data and do it even on a live system. On hot data, most common access is warm, less common access is cold, hardly even access. It simplifies and allows to optimize the memory consumption, the main HANA database resource. So you can create a really large data warehouses where the hot data is kept in memory, warm also but partially cached, and the cold is kept on disks. There are also new reporting tools with BW for HANA. In fact, you have to use the new reporting tools. So the Design Studio Lumira 2.0, it will be at least one new tool, or reporting in Excel with SAP Analysis for Office. And of course, Business Object in the Cloud is also a possibility here. As you would see at the main points, what's new or what the advantages of S4 tools is the simplification. So the systems, both the ERP system and BW system, were simplified. It resulted, it allowed to have the performance gains. Also, the SAP HANA platform brings some performance gains. New functionalities were added to the systems. New interfaces, for example, to connect to the cloud systems, are also part of S/4HANA systems. And new user interface. For example, in ERP system, in S/4HANA ERP system, you have this Fiori interface, and for BW for HANA, this new reporting interface, and of course, the administrator also works with a new interface with SAP HANA Studio. Okay, I was talking a bit, so perhaps I'll try to show you something on the live system. If it works, yeah, of course. Let's see, I have already opened here. Okay, I'm logged to an SAP S/4HANA system, to the new Fiori interface. I have a lot of roles assigned to me, and so I'm quite a powerful user. I can select a role and see the tiles, transactions assigned to this role, and use them as I would use an old transaction in SAP GUI application, SAP GUI application. So let's have a look at financial statement for one of our company codes. I have chosen the financial statement version, and I will refresh the data. I can see here all the items of the financial statement. Sometimes I'm only interested in balance sheet, so I can filter it, or profit and loss statement, I can filter it. And of course I can drill down to single accounts. I can have a comparison here. So I'm reporting for current period. I could compare it, for example, let's say to last period, so it would be a bit more interesting. I can observe the differences, and of course I can drill down to line items that caused this value in this in my financial statement. It took a while. I have line items here. I can go to one of them, and I can look at the documents that created this line item. So I'm working with the new Fiori interface similarly as I would work with the SAP transaction through SAP GUI. Okay, I have checked the financial statement. Perhaps I'll go to my other role, to accounts receivables. I can see that total receivables are quite huge today. So perhaps I'm interested with upcoming receivables that are not yet due. I'll analyze them by customer. I could filter, of course, I could add some filters, so for example for region or country or company code here. But I could go even further and open and do something with this data. For example, I would process receivables or display current customer balance and so on. Okay. I ordered another division here, another report. So I selected one company, my accounting clerk, but perhaps the total receivables are not that important. The overdue receivables are something that is missing in our cache, so that's something that interests me more. I'll look at the beginning at the most overdue receivables. I can see that one of our customers is responsible for the receivables. I'll go and manage customer line items. After a while, I'll have a list of customer line items connected to these receivables. I could back up. I could process also the customer receivables. I would see here my notes from last processing, and I could do a lot of other activities here. For example, I could post incoming payments. So let's say I got an invoice from our, I got payment from our customer. Okay, let's say I have a payment and I look for the open line items for this customer. So there are a lot of open line items here. let's say the payment was for this amount, and then I could just clear this. I could check whether everything is okay. It seems okay. I can just post it. And journal entry has been created and a document has been posted, clearing one of the customer line items. So I did something that normally I would, till now, without S/4HANA, I would do in a SAP GUI interface using this new user interface. As you can see, it's quite well done with a lot of join between transactions, so you can jump from one transaction to another and look at the result of your transactions. And of course, this overview screen is also very important. You can have some important data on your tiles so that you know that you have to do something. Okay. Additionally, you can, as I said, I did a few transactions from the financials area, but of course, new S/4HANA system, it's not only financial part, it was at the beginning. At the beginning, it was SAP Simple Finance, only financial part was done, but the new SAP for HANA from last year and the version 16.10, it's also logistic that's simplified and created from this, not from the scratch, but created, renovated, I would say. So let's do some purchasing in the new user interface. I create a new purchase order basing on the existing purchasing info records. So it will be easier because I won't have to enter all the data. So I'll use one of the existing info records. I could, of course, change the quantity ordered, but let's leave it as it is. So material TG11 was ordered, and I created this number of purchase order, and I could go back and perhaps, let's say after a few days, the goods are delivered, and I should record the goods received for that order. So I selected that order. It helped me because it filled up all the data from that order. Perhaps the goods are not delivered in 10, perhaps only 5 was delivered. So let's change the quantity here. I added the storage location where I would put something that was delivered, and I'll post it. Of course, the invoice could be also received from our supplier. So let's do the invoice. For this purchase order, the system always sees that only 5 pieces were received. So the invoice is for 5 pieces. And so I could check it. I have an error here. Balance is not 0. Yes, because I haven't put here the gross invoice amount. Let's check it once more. Okay. Now I have no errors, so I can just post it. Okay. Then perhaps I would be interested to see the stock for this material. And as you can see, I have it on my standard storage. Sorry. Let's say I would like to have material documents overview. Well, let's try once more. Let's look for documents from today. Okay, I have last documents, material documents from today, and as you can see here, you could also check the document flow, so you can jump between documents, jumping from material document to accounting document or to purchase order and so on. Okay, so I show you a bit how to use transactions in SAP in the new interface, and as I said, there is a lot of new transactions developed especially for the new interface SAP Fiori, and some of old transactions are just moved to the new interface. So some of the transactions are not changed, just moved to the new interface, but there's a lot of transactions especially prepared for the new interface, and I have shown you some of them. And what's more important with the Fiori interface also, it's that can be used both on computers and on mobile devices, because it's done that way that it's easily adjusted to the mobile devices. What's also important, there are a lot of analytical applications that that are connected to this. So SAP Pure interface, it's not exchange for the old SAP GUI interface, it's something new also. So the tiles can show something, so can show some values over time, can show some KPIs. And as I have shown you, you can see some of them here. It's easier to start a transaction when you see that something is wrong. For example, with the red color, signing that it's wrong with a system somewhere. But I want to show you that but creating a new KPI, it's really easy. Okay, let's say I'll create a new KPI here. Let's give a name for the KPI. Let's say technical name. I can see something. Okay, let's log out of the system and I will log in with Polish language to the system once more. So I'm logging to another SAP for HANA system, but I want to log in English. And as you can see, I have a lot of roles here, but I have also a role for KPI design. I created a tile here. I'll create a KPI here at the beginning. At the beginning, I'm just describing the KPI. But then I have connected to a CDS view. CDS view is a new view type that's done entirely on HANA. So in fact, I won't show how to create CDS view, but it's not very difficult. So there is a tool, HANA Studio, to create CDS view. It's a view on one table or on several tables connected. But since the tables are quite easy in the new S/4HANA systems, and in CDS view you can use also some scripting. So it's quite easy to create even complex view with CDS view approach. But let's assume we already have a CDS view from this delivery time. The CDS view has to be published as a OData service. That's one line in CDS view, in fact. So that's also quite easy. Within several minutes, you could create your own CDS view. or you have a lot of CDS view already predefined in the system. In fact, there are several hundreds of CDS view with OData services already predefined, used in standard transaction. You can just connect to one of them, and that's what I'm doing. So I have created description of the KPI. Perhaps I'll activate it and add an evaluation, so I'll make it quicker. Okay, I will add the evaluation perhaps manually. Evaluation. So evaluation, what is it? In fact, evaluation is just telling when the data is good, when the data is wrong. Let's say that critical is when we reached 30 days for average delivery time. Let's say warning when we have 20 targets, let's say 1 day, and reference value 1 day as well. We can save it and configure a drill down, so reporting it. So till now we configured KPI, but I would like to configure as well, perhaps, okay, I have not activated perhaps this. Okay, I'll perhaps create a drill down for another KPI, or just add the evaluation once more. Okay, so after we created a KPI and evaluation, yes, I haven't activated it before, we can create a drill down, so a report. For example, a report on, let's say, material group or delivery. Let's say, so something like this. We can add a title to this. So, for example, average delivery time. So let's save it. Of course, I could make it more complex. I could add some other measures and some other characteristics to drill down on. But I have done a simple report And that's it. So I create KPI under the evaluation, so the target values and the values that that should call for messages or warnings. I create a drill down, so a report, and now I can create a tile. Subfield tile. I have a few predefined tiles. I can perhaps leave this one default. I can say that the calculation, when one done by the system, it will be valid for example, 1 day, or for example, 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, this tile will refresh, and that's it. I have a new tile. I could add it to my role and see it on my SAP Fiori screen. Perhaps to see the new tile, I would have to refresh the screen. Oh, it's already visible, so I have created this new tile. I can add it to my screen. Switch off the editing mode. And yes, I have a new tile here. I'm not sure whether the data is correct, so what we'll see here, it calculates the delivery time. I haven't given any restrictions, so it has to go through a lot of data to calculate it. But after a while, it will calculate and give me the average delivery time and show it on this tile. Of course, I could create a lot of tiles like this, and I could create my own dashboard from such a tiles that would show me data, and there's no data available, so I'm sorry, but there is no data for this tile. But if we had the data, we would see here the example, for example, average delivery time 3 days, but it's good because we said that until 20 days it's okay, above 20 days it's warning. And if you could press down it, we would see the report showing this delivery time by material group, but since there is no data, we won't see it now. Okay, let's move to our presentation. So, creating such analytical applications and reporting, it's quite easy with new S/4HANA systems. I showed you how to create a new tile just to connect it to your SAP Fiori interface. It's done within a few minutes. Of course, I used one of the predefined SAP views, but you could also use one of them. There is a lot of them, and very well documented, but you could create your own views as well. As for the migration, so that's the topic perhaps interests you. There are some different approach. So some clients could just re-implement their SAP system, just implementing from the scratch the system, of course, basing on the customizing and processes that were already done for the old system. And you could see that perhaps it's more costly than just a migration, but it has one advantage. When the system was already used for 10 years, so processes have perhaps changed, and were sometimes adjusted to the changes, sometimes not. So sometimes the system, to re-implement a system, is something good because you can refresh the processes, refresh the implementation of the processes in the new system, and make it also better for using in your company. But if you want to make it quickly and you are you are satisfied with your current ERP system, but you want to make use of the new functionalities, you can migrate it to the new functionalities. You can migrate it in two steps. So first, for example, with ECC to SAP on HANA, and then to S/4HANA, or in one functional step. So when S/4HANA is taken into account, if you already use subsystem, if you don't use, just implement S/4HANA. If you are using and you are a very large multinational company with a large, huge scope, and perhaps the system was used for several years, perhaps it will be simpler to re-implement it from the new on SAP HANA. But it's also possible to migrate to the SAP HANA. If you are a really small company, you can migrate in one step even. If you are a middle-sized company, for SAP of course this means quite a big companies, you can migrate, but it's perhaps better to have several steps, so migrate to SAP HANA, perhaps sometimes upgrade of course the system, and then to migrate to S/4HANA. As for BW, it's a bit different. If you have already BW system, then I would say just migrate to the SAP BW powered by SAP SAP HANA version 7.5, not to the BW for HANA, because BW for HANA is limited as for compatibility, backward compatibility, and it's better to migrate to this version powered by SAP HANA. We'll have almost all the pros from this BW for HANA system, and you will have backward compatibility. For example, you could use the current reporting tools. Of course, you could use also the new tools, but you don't have to change it from in one point of time. If you are not using ERP system, if you have S/4HANA, perhaps you can use the embedded BW system. So the system inside S/4HANA system, inside ERP system, there is also an add-on of BW, so you can use it. And yes, if it's not enough, you can use a BW powered on SAP HANA version 7.5 or bigger. Are there some cons against migration? So in fact, yes, there are some cons. S/4HANA system, S/4HANA is still under development. So, for example, last year the current version was 15.11 and 9. Now it's 16.10. And for example, the number of SAP Fiori apps changes drastically from 300 to 7,000. The new reporting system, SAP Embedded Analytics, is only available from version 16.10. There are huge changes in the logistic area as well, because financials was introduced before, and so it's changing rapidly. And of course, when you move to SAP HANA, you often have to pay for the new licenses for almost all the new functionalities that brings the so you have to consider it when moving to S/4HANA. As for BW for HANA, I would say the system is not mature enough yet, and perhaps with some new implementation you could implement it. But I would recommend to migrate, if you consider migration, to migrate to SAP BW powered by SAP HANA, not BW for HANA. And if you just implementing BW for HANA, just keep in mind that you won't be able to use the old BEX analyzer tools for application designer. The planning is not supported by BW for HANA at the moment. It will be added in the future. So, and if you migrate BW system, you have to migrate once all the data flows and data providers, because there is no backward compatibility. So you have to migrate everything in one step, and it's a quite complex project. So if you want to migrate, I would say wait and just migrate only to BW powered by SAP HANA version 7.5. Both SAP system S4HANA ERP and BW for HANA are completely new modern products that are performant, user-friendly, and there will be a really new opening for SAP. S4HANA is already mature, and I would recommend it to everybody. Of course, the migration project can be painful, but the gains are really interesting at the end. Okay, so that's it. As I said, S4HANA ERP system, it's quite mature. BW for HANA, it's still under development, so I would recommend to wait for a year or two until it's ready for the development.
Okay, thank you, Krzysztof. Thank you for your participation. Because we don't have any questions, thank you very much, and we will see you in next webinar. If you have any questions in the future, feel free to ask us via email. This is on the end, yes, info@bccgroup.com. Thank you very much, and that is all for today. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.